Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our August 19th council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes? Here. Mr. Gottstein?
Here.
Mr. Babalani?
Here.
Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 5th, 2013. Any additions or corrections?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for the last meeting. Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Mark. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval of manifest 2013-16 in the amount of $666,614.62. Mark.
I got a couple, Jeremy. On the first page here, I know under the mayor council election, Barb Zeman, I know she does a good job. Under administration for $300, what is she doing? Is she still working on the website? Or what is she, I know she does different things. I see her in the downtown development for $300 too.
Yeah, she works with the website and some of the communication things that I ask her to do. That's a lot, and then helping with some of the coordination if I have some of the activities that are going on. So she's been pretty good about if I call, she'll give me some support.
But that's monthly. That's not on a time and material.
It's not a time material. We just whatever I use her for during the course of the month.
What does she do for the DDA then, Ray?
For the DDA, she handles same type of thing, but DDA related. A lot of the stuff on the main street, the sign work that they've been doing. We've been doing a lot of work lately with wayfinding signs, so she's been doing a lot of work with that.
So that's on a monthly basis with the DDA, or just as needed on them?
What they did was that's on a monthly basis with them as well. But what we did with the DDA is that we actually took. We had monies going to Terry Spence, and Terry agreed that a lot of this stuff she's in a better position to handle. So we actually moved monies from paying him to paying her. So the total is the same. We're doing.
Well, Terry's in here too for $300.
Right, but that was actually.
What's that?
That was actually double that what we had.
So Terry isn't going to be in here anymore?
No, Terry's in there, but prior to Barb doing that, Terry was handling the whole thing, and some of the stuff that we were getting into, he wasn't able to handle. So we agreed to have that split. So she was going to help.
So,
That
but Terry always was getting $300, or was Terry
he was
getting
getting
$600?
He was
Terry
getting
was getting
six.
$6.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that was where I was going with it. On page 2, Jeremy, Public Works, Joe, UP Truck Center, panels, screw cover, $827, right in the center.
Yeah, I see it, Mark, but I don't recall exactly what that description.
Okay,
Doesn't ring a bell with me, just as panel screw covers. It seems odd, but I check on it for you, let you know exactly what it is. We know we replaced that whole dash in the garbage truck, and this might be associated with that, but I don't know that to be a fact. So just let me check on it, and I can have Ray get back to you on what it is.
on page 3, Ray, down by the downtown development, we got Trico landscaping project doing the weeding for $500. Sure would be nice if they would do something along the curbs. I know they can't spray, but down in front of the old hospital, it's pretty nasty down there. I know that it looks like the post office area, somebody sprayed there, and it looks like it's coming nice. Then on page 4, under the nursery, is that all, or 50% of that refundable? There's one for $600 tree delivery expense, $67.40, and 735, I know that was for the spring tree planting.
Yeah, that's a cost, and then we have, it's not really considered refundable. What it is we have
Match.
$100 from the residents, and then we also have grant monies from the state. So
Okay.
that's still coming in. I have to do the final report for the state, which
Okay.
will then I show you a full report of,
Okay, so it's
Ins
like a
and outs.
match program.
it's a match program,
Okay.
basically.
Sounds good. That's all I got, Jeremy.
Okay, Chris?
I got some of my questions. I got one under the electric. I'm not sure what page it is, but towards the middle of the page is the U.S. Geological Survey for $24,000. I just don't remember seeing that before. Just wondering what it was.
The USGS is for the stream gauges. That's an annual expense that we have to pay
Okay,
for the 2 gauges that we own.
that's all I had.
Dr. Hayes?
No questions.
Lee?
Two. First page, under mayor, council elections, music in the park advertisement, I assume that's coming out of that grant?
Yes, it is. That's
Okay.
reimbursable.
And how much do we have left in that grant?
I think Carol told me we had like $300 to $400.
Is there like one program left maybe, or two?
There's one program that she was, that's open in September, that she was in the other day asking whether she should aggressively try to find somebody, or, you know, if we've kind of come to the end, so.
Okay. And second page, refuse collection, contract tipping, sludge and grit hauling fee, $6,600. And then you go down under wastewater, it says the same thing basically, sludge and grit hauling fee, $6,000. I mean, sludge and grit's the same to me, no matter where it comes from, although one is under refuse and the other's under wastewater.
That seems odd, that should probably go through the wastewater, but we'll have to take a look at the bill and see if there was a,
I think the 6,600 is actually the tipping fees for the month, and then the 6,000 that's under sewer was for the sludge and grit.
The sludge and grit,
So it's just a
I was wondering, 'cause they
description
both say
issue.
sludge and grit, that's what got my attention.
But I think the first one, the 6,600
regular-
was for the regular contract, or the
Okay.
tipping fees.
So they billed us once,
On the same
on the
bill.
same bill.
Yes.
all right.
Okay, that's
We'll
all I have.
double check on that though, and
Okay.
let you know.
Anything else? Lee?
No, that's it.
The one comment I don't have any questions, but the one comment I would like to make on this manifest, it's a big manifest, but 217,000 of that was the Main Street dig project that we paid that out, minus the retainer we kept for the part that still needs to be finished.
And we did receive the money from the state.
Okay.
Is there any questions from the public on the manifest?
Jean Bradford, 2465 Travis Farm Road. On page, well, it's under the refuse collection question. Great American Disposal, there's 3 services there. Can you tell me what that is? The 17th, they're all on the 18th of July. One's for 1,000, 1,200, and then I would assume that's above and beyond our regular trash pickup.
The description is recycling, tipping.
Well, the 1,200 is, their recycling fee is of 182, fuel surcharge of 167, and then professional services of 1,216.
Oh, I see, over
Yeah.
on the left, right.
Mary, wouldn't that tipping fee of the 6,600 revert back to the question Lee had with 6,000 on wastewater? When you had said, somebody had said that it was for the tipping for the trash?
Well, what had happened was it's one single bill, but they billed us both the tipping fee for the trash and the fee for the sludge. It's just when they put the description on, they shouldn't have put sludge and grit under this section.
Okay.
It was 6,600 for this, and
They break it out.
they're gonna double check it, but the 6,600 for the tipping, and then 6,000 for the sludge. It's a description mistake.
So they must have broke those different items out. The fuel surcharge, the recycling fee, and the tipping fee, they must have broke those out into 3 separate charges.
They meaning the
Great American Disposal, yeah.
Okay. Under electric services, the WPPI Energy, the monthly loan payment, how much do we owe on that street lamp project? What's our balance owed on that,
I don't have that in front of me.
approximately?
That was a 10-year loan.
I don't have that.
I mean, to get an accurate
We can-
number,
we can get
we'd
that
have
to
to
you.
look it
I
up,
mean-
just give you an exact amount.
We're what,
Yeah.
1 or 2 years in? It's
We're
a
about
10
2 years
About
into
2
it.
years in.
It was a 10-year loan, and we're about 2 years into it.
Is there
was
interest
the
on
total?
that, or that's interest free?
No, it's
Interest free.
0%. What was the total on that? I mean, we do quick math.
Okay. And then I have a question about the golf course. On their irrigation system, they spent quite a bit of money there for valves, like $600 and $300. What is the golf course's budget for this period, 2013, 2014?
Total or for just maintenance?
Their
Or for
total
that
budget for
specific
the year,
item.
for
They're roughly about a $500,000 operation, or say $400,000 operation.
okay.
Do you have the number in front of you?
Yeah, $396,500.
About $400,000.
Okay. And then are they considered 12 months, or they're considered 8 months?
No, they're 12 months.
Okay. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the manifest? With that, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve manifest 2013-16 in amount of $666,614.62.
Support.
Motion made by Mark, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on the minutes manifest or any of the agenda items? If you do, please come up to the podium. You'll have 5 minutes. If not, we'll be open discussion at the end of the meeting for questions on any subject. Okay, moving on. In our communications this evening, we have 6 items. The first item is the local street paving contract. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an initiative that we started during the budget hearings to appropriate $280,000 towards street improvements. We decided through that process that we were going to look at doing what they call crush and shape, which is basically milling and crushing the existing asphalt. You shape it, you leave it in place, it becomes a sub-base. They are going to remove some, because of elevations, but then they put in a new 2.5-inch base pavement. The original engineer's estimate just prior to the bid was $237,000. That's based off a project, as we explained before, we're going to go through Saginaw Street from US 2 all the way through back to US 8, and then we were going to pick up the avenues 1 block on each side. Baco Construction came in with a low responsive bid of $177,265. So at this time, we recommend moving forward with Baco Construction for the $177,265.
I know we had budgeted $280,000 for this. Is there anything else we can do with the extra that was in the budget?
You basically have 3 options. I mean, the next agenda item is, we also went out for bids on crack and seal, which is taking the roads that we paved, say, in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, they start showing some cracks, and typically the maintenance on that is to do a crack and seal to keep the water out. We appropriated $20,000 for that bid. You could take some of the extra monies and put it towards additional crack and seal, because we probably have quite a few more road distances that need that maintenance. You could look at a couple additional blocks. However, like I showed in our 5-year plan, we have some aggressive reconstruct in some of the worst areas, and so you really don't want to go in there and do a crush and shape job if within a few years we're going to get that, that water and sewer project and some of these other major projects we were looking at. So the third option is, of course, to save, put it aside and look for, go to a additional year. It's completely up to council. I guess if you're asking me for my recommendation, I would like to, and then we can talk a little bit more about this in the next scheduled item, which is the crack and seal contract, where I'd actually like to be flexible to talk to Farner, who was the only bidder on that, and see if we could add some additional monies, and maybe he has some additional ideas for some mix and fix for our streets.
I guess I'd like to see us, Ray, take that $20,000 that you're recommending on the next line item, take that off of the 177, and we still have enough room for 5 more blocks of crush and shape. I think that would be my choice. I don't know which blocks. I did take a little ride, and I seen Jeremy kind of looking around this afternoon. I don't know if like the 1,000 block over here, because I know we did up to this point with sewer and water, and we redid the curbing in that, so I don't know if that section is eligible or if there's underground stuff there. And I kind of looked at the 2 and the 300 blocks of Norway are pretty rough. I don't know if there's water.
Those are actually in the water and sewer project, so you have both water and sewer in those sections.
How about like 7th Avenue then?
7th Avenue is in the water and sewer project.
I do think we should pick some other streets, my opinion, and get them done at this time while they're in town if possible.
I'd like to see us maybe do a little bit of both, get some more crack and seal done and pave some more streets. The other question I had too was when we're doing some of these crush and shape projects, I know that we're not addressing any of the word is escaping me now.
Complete streets?
What's that?
Complete
No,
streets.
not complete streets, the catch basins. And some of them are sinking. And are we hurting ourselves by not addressing some of those issues when we redo these streets and we have to come back later? Or is it worth trying to budget a little bit and get some of those, the worst ones fixed?
I would not want to leave the low catch basins. I'd want to lift those up if we're going to redo a street.
Okay. Are we planning on doing that for this project up here? And do
I
we have
hadn't,
monies budgeted for it?
until this was put before you. I was on vacation last week, so I don't know exactly which roads, you were going to do, because it was still up in the air a little bit. But now that I know exactly which ones you're going to do, I'll go and figure out which ones we need to raise.
Okay.
And what's going to be involved in raising them.
And where's the money gonna come out for that?
Yeah.
Does that come out of this project fund then, or are we gonna come out of water and sewer?
That's done
No.
in-house, right, Joe?
What's that?
That's done in-house.
Yeah, we're going to do it in-house, so it's not going to be overly expensive. It's just the cost of the rings. So, I don't think there's a lot of expense there, it's just some time.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we address that, so we're not having to come back later.
When we go through these projects like this, we should address the catch basins, the sewer.
So I guess my feeling is that I'd like to see us do both, get more crack and sealing done and possibly pave some more streets. But I think it's important that we maintain the existing streets that are still, that were done in the last couple of years, so they don't start falling apart faster.
Ray, was anything looked at, like I had talked about the thicknesses on the mainstream of the road versus the turning radiuses?
Yeah, I brought that up to both contractors and the engineers, and that's really a non-standard approach. They don't do that. Not that it can't be done, but it's a lot of fussing with the paver, and on the local streets, they just don't see the kind of degradation that you probably would on an intersection with trucks and speeds.
Well, I know on some of our newer roads, and some of them are going back 15 years, which I refer to as a newer road, they're starting to show wear and tear, where I think this crack and seal will prolong them quite a bit. And again, we can look at doing another block or two, but I would prefer to see some or even all of this go into more crack and seal on our newer roads. Like I said, some of them are starting to look pretty rough, and that will extend their lifespan quite a bit.
Ray, down on the end over by Warren Genunzio's where we talked about last year, is that under sewer project?
No, I don't believe so.
Because that area there had like maybe couple hundred foot spot that was pretty nasty.
Yeah, you actually have enough room to pick up a block or two and add to that crack and seal, so, I mean.
Do we have any comparative to know what kind of a deal we're getting on the crack and seal? It seems like our paving, they're giving us a fairly good price if the engineer is estimating, 30% more.
We have one bidder, and from what I mean, we talked around with the engineer, and that's what they're seeing. You're just not seeing the amount of bidders out doing this kind of work. You know, you have Farner, who's been handling the MDOT, and they come up and do most, if not all, the work.
And I'm not doubting it's the right price, but do we have any way of confirming that that's a good price?
I don't, based on, I mean, it's the same type of pricing that others are getting for it. I mean, you know, Coleman handles a couple of these types of projects. I mean, they didn't seem, you know, they said it was within the range. I did have a conversation with Tony up at Kingsford, and I think that it may be something that we want to talk with Iron Mountain and Kingsford and see if on the maintenance, some of this maintenance work, if there's some, makes sense long-term for us to kind of co-op together to try and get some of this done, whether that's, you know, maybe cost sharing on some equipment and having it available during the summer and having our folks learn how to use it, or, you know, coming in on quantity pricing when we do a project with a contractor. So I know Kingsford hasn't done crack and seal for quite a few years because of some of the issues you're talking about. But if we work together, Tony definitely wants to try and do some more of that work.
Didn't they originally give us a bid of 25 to 28,000 per block when we originally talked about it?
Yeah, that was when we originally talked about it, and that's when we were seeing asphalt prices at like $100 a ton.
I mean,
and we got it at 65.
From what we got in front of us for how many blocks is
10 blocks.
177,000. That's
17,000 a block.
so yeah, that's only 17,000 a block. I think we should.
But some of those blocks are different. They're different lengths, so, you know, based on a lineal length. But you know, we were seeing $100 per ton on asphalt. Actually, the estimate of 237, they knocked it down to 84, and we got it for 65 in this.
So I mean, I would think that we'd be better off to do a little bit extra on the paving and try to catch a little bit. I know we got to protect what we got, but I would think we should do 4 more streets and then put the rest of the money into the crack and seal.
Yeah, I think you have room to do a little bit of both. But the
You know,
20,000 is pretty low. I'm talking to the representative from Farner. The 20,000 is a bit low for what we actually have, the areas that really need it. So I told him I was going to go with what we bid, and then we would. He basically says we got time this fall to, you know, to get a good, you know, estimate together beyond that 20. You know, and he has unit prices, so it's not like he's going to raise his prices above, you know, what he has.
Well,
But I mean, we're
Right.
$9,000 or so under what the block price was quoted at the beginning of the year. So I think we should, I don't know if that's because Baco's here doing the highway too, and I think we should take advantage of that and get as many streets done as we can versus the
I think that
crack
does
and
help.
patch.
I think that there's no question that does help.
And what I think, I kind of agree with what's being said and kind of with Mark. We should look at 3-4 blocks or about that much and then throw the rest into crack sealing. A mix, like, I think pretty much everybody agrees a mix, but get 3-4 good blocks that we need to, depending if they're long blocks, short blocks, you might get 4, but then throw the rest in the cracks so we can get a good mix of it.
We should approve what's proposed tonight and have the
Right.
management come up with a
Yep.
proposal for the next meeting.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
But what if their schedule is such that they want to get on this in the next 2 weeks?
Well, I think then we
No,
need a
prior to the
special
meeting.
meeting because we're gonna be saving a lot of
All right.
money
Yeah.
because they're doing the highway
Right.
and the rest of the
That's
streets.
what we'll do then. Based on their schedule, we'll come up with a special meeting.
Yep.
Council be okay coming in for a special meeting on that? Good. Okay, is there any other questions on the local street paving contract? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that Baco Construction Company be approved for the 2013 local street improvement project for a price not to exceed $177,265.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
One more question on that, Ray. Do we have any idea when when they wanted to come in and do it?
No, I tried to get ahold of them today and try and get a detail of their schedule, but I didn't get that.
Okay, well, next on the agenda, we have the approval for the crack seal contract. We just talked about that a little bit, but Mr. Anderson, if you'd like to go into more detail.
Yeah, again, we put out the bid package at the same time as we did with the previous agenda item. And like I mentioned, we only had one responsive bidder. That's from Farner Asphalt. Again, from what I'm hearing, that wasn't a surprise that we only had one. Our recommendation is to approve Farner and then have kind of a similar thing come in and pair the projects and kind of, that gives us the ability to just talk to the two contractors and then we can move forward with the final budget. I mean, we have a total that we're working off of, so. And I think Bob from Farner wanted to come in and actually go through with us as well, you know, to show, because he identified some areas that we may want to switch from our original priority.
Okay, just where was the original priority? Where were we targeting?
We needed to get Main Street for sure out in front, at least out from Railroad Avenue down to, we included all the way down to 4th Avenue, but the worst area is right out here, the first 2 or 3 blocks. Section Street and Kimberly Road were the 3 areas, and then we had to stop because, you know, the engineer said you can't, with $20,000, you aren't gonna go beyond that. We'll have the ability to look at everything as a whole, and then we might move some things around based on that.
One question, Ray, Section Street, US 2 to Forest Drive. That's right where Section stops and Forest starts then? Is that at the top of the hill by the stadium there?
That's what we did, but he did suggest that we go and take a look beyond that.
Beyond, okay.
Yeah, and that was part of what we want to do over the next week or two. Maybe next week, I think he was gonna probably coming in.
Okay. Any other questions?
Does the Parks and Recs have any money, being we got them here, for that south side of Strawberry Lake Trail? Do they have any money that they
There's-
could put in, being we already have them here? Maybe we would get a little bit better deal for that
That's a
area?
good idea, Mark. They do have some monies from the timber sale. We do have a meeting this week on Wednesday night, so I'll bring that up. It's a good idea.
Okay, is there any other questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion that Farner Asphalt Sealers be approved to provide crack sealing services for the city of Norway for a price not to exceed $20,000.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Mark. Roll call.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Next, approval of the wastewater treatment plant contract operations. This was an item we had tabled at the last meeting to get more information on and to do more looking into, and it's brought back up tonight for consideration. Mr. Anderson, is there anything else you want to add, or?
Yeah, we did take a look. In fact, unfortunately, well, today, Mary and I got together, and I had a wrong assumption from my previous recommendation on the number of people. I thought we had already accounted for an individual, as Brock Johnson, actually, for him in the DPW, and we had not. She pointed out to me that he was actually also in wastewater budget. What we did was we took and budgeted for the 2 part-time refuse collection or garbage men, rather than put, and I had thought we had put the full-timer back into the budget. So based on that, I think that there are going to be additional costs in the other departments that probably it's gonna be higher than what we're getting out of the wastewater. So I guess I have to recommend that we stay status quo until, we relook at this at a later date.
Okay, Ray, now, we had one retiree there.
We had,
Are we gonna have to replace him?
well, I'm recommending we don't at this point, because Brock was working, he's in the wastewater budget. He was working out of the DPW.
But he was like half-time or something, whatever it was.
Right, his benefits were in the wastewater, but he was working out of the DPW department under wastewater, and he would go down into the wastewater department full-time. So
So we're losing a body, and technically, we're not replacing him.
correct, you're going to have
Body
2
per
people-
body.
You would have 2 people down the plant.
Yeah, we're not hiring anybody.
Right, that's, okay. And that's the
But we
same.
do have to address but then we would have to address the refuse collection.
Right, well, then that would be the hiring of
budget.
2 part-time.
And we've been talking about that for 3 years.
Right.
So let me get it straight. We're gonna leave Brock down at the waste plant, and we're only gonna hire the 2 garbage men part-time?
Correct.
No other full-time people in the DPW?
That's correct.
Okay.
And are we gonna need someone else in the wastewater treatment plant then for rotation for call schedule or weekends?
Well, at this point, we're going to have to have a discussion with the wastewater department and also the DPW. We did have a number of those folks cross-train to come in on the weekend, but we also changed some of the weekend work rules, so we're going to have to sit down with them and really readjust that schedule.
Would it be a wise move? I know we're not into really hiring anybody, but if we hired somebody part-time with no benefits, limited benefits, and had them do the weekends, I don't know if that would work for Bob, because we'd actually be saving, because we wouldn't be paying the alternative wage for the holidays and the weekends. That would be right
You
in
still would
there.
have holiday pay. If somebody works on a holiday, they still get additional holiday pay. But right now, the weekends.
Even
is
if it's
straight
their
time off
scheduled,
schedule.
even if it's their scheduled work, is that how that works? I don't know, if maybe somebody out in the audience, the union man here can refresh us. Okay.
Well, I see, if we're saving a whole one employee, I see no problem with paying a little overtime for these guys to do it on
Okay.
weekend, and that'll pretty much keep them happy.
But we've changed the contract, so that's not part of the contract.
I guess
You know,
I would
mean,
like,
We're gonna have to sit down, I'd rather, let us sit down and.
okay, I guess I'm not for hiring either, but I mean, if it's actually gonna be cheaper in the end, if we can do that with their normal scheduled time, I think we need to look at that. But
We're open to looking at the options, but
Okay.
right now, let us sit down, Joe and I need to sit down with them and go through how this is gonna work out.
so the contracting of the waste plant is a no, and,
Well, we still should vote.
okay.
Is there any other questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I make a motion, we deny the contract operations of the waste plant.
Sport.
Motion made by Mark, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda, the approval of the sale of city-owned property, First Baptist Church of Norway. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is something that actually came to our desk a year ago, and the First Baptist Church of Norway has purchased property. It's the old, I guess, baseball field down in that area. And they brought to our attention that there was a small parcel, a 50 by 135 parcel that's actually on the hillside that's owned by the city, probably through, it was probably there with the mining company. There is a pad on it, might have been an old transformer. I don't believe there was ever anything there since we've been here. But-
No, since I've been here, there's been nothing there.
And we have all of our utility easements and right-of-ways, and so they requested, not that they're gonna do a lot of use with it, because it's actually it's challenging, it's on the hillside, it's up from where they're at. They just thought it would be clean to have, rather than have the city own that piece that we're not even using, that we would sell it to them for $1, and they would put it, onto their deed. Brought it to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did make a recommendation to council to move forward with that proposal.
But besides buying it for $1, the church agreed to cover any of the transaction costs with transferring it to them, so it won't cost the city anything to transfer it to them.
Yeah, that is correct.
Is there any other questions, comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion that the proposal from First Baptist Church to purchase city-owned property located in Logan be approved for $1 sale.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Mark. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval, sale of city-owned property, Grant Litz. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Another property purchase or sale request was submitted by Grant Litz. The property is on the corner of 9th Avenue and US 2. This is a property that we have been working on for quite a while now. When we reconfigured the highway, or reconfigured 9th Avenue intersection into the highway, if you remember, it went straight up 9th Avenue and made that challenging intersection. Mr. Litz put in a request to purchase that property, and we went through the abandonment process a month ago in order to get it out of right-of-way so that we would have the ability to sell the property. Realistically, the property is more suited to be sold to Mr. Litz. We did send out a few letters, people in that area. Mr. Litz was the only one that put in a request, and we are selling it for the price per acre that we bought. The DDA actually bought the property on the east side in order for us to make the project. He is buying it for a price per acre that the DDA purchased the other highway frontage. So the price that he's paying for total is $5,000, and that would actually will square up his property so that he's going to be able to develop that property better.
Does that money go back into the DDA?
No, actually, that's city money.
I'd like to see it go into Park and Recs.
I'd like to see it go into putting a sidewalk in front of the American, so we could complete the street up to the church and or the sidewalk up to the church and to the spring. Whether it's asphalting, while we have the asphalting here, or if it's concrete. I think asphalting would be the cheaper route.
Yeah, it's pretty common. I mean, you go up by Nagani, I just drove through there the other day, and it's all the way through on both sides. They pretty much run an asphalt path.
Will the state help with that?
I have no idea how they put that in up there. I know that in talking with both Parks and Rec and DDA, they do want to look at projects both on the highway and behind the businesses. And I think that what they'd like to do is actually look at seeing if they could use an enhancement grant to help pay for some of those costs. But they're all for looking at that idea and others. But I know that they wanted to look at the enhancement grants, because I think that based on how they're being applied for now, if you have a local funding source like our DDA, then you're not getting as many applicants. Most cities are in situations like ours. They can't politically, apply for it because they don't have the match. So,
And I know Parks and Rec has talked about wanting to extend that walking path
yeah.
also, to get it up there.
Yeah, it's all part of it.
I'd just like to say, I know we've been working on this for a long time, and I'm glad to see it finally done and ready to go.
You just, how they say it, you fix the problem with that storm sewer in the middle of the property there? What's going to happen with that? Because that was mentioned before. I think Mark had brought that up a while back.
You know, the area that he's purchasing, you know, does have preset utility, and I mean, he understands it's there. It's not going to, he's not going to be able to build on it, but, you know, he could have your parking area, you could have entrance and exit. So, I mean, it can be utilized in the development, but he's not going to be able to build on it, and he understands that.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, that is a challenge for just the piece alone.
But if some kind of small business when they need the parking
Yeah,
anyway.
there's room.
So,
Yeah.
I just down the road, I don't want them to say, hey, come in here and get this out of here.
No, Mr. Litz is very detailed, and he pointed out a number of those things already, so.
Best part of it is we don't have to cut the lawn over there anymore.
That's right. But he pointed out he was helping us out by cuttings. So, we do thank him for that.
Is there any word on the other side of that street?
Nothing official.
Okay.
I make a motion, we make a sale of property to Grantlets for $5,000.
Support.
motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigino?
Yes.
The last item on the agenda this evening is Resolution 2013-25, the 2014 Oak Crest Golf Course membership rates. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It may seem kind of early to be talking about our 14 rates for membership rates. However, this is something we've been doing the last couple of years, right around the last meeting of August and the first meeting of September, where we start offering fall for new members, fall promotions. I know that in this time of year, or maybe a little bit later, but members, or they look for gifts for their relatives, so it's been a push to try and establish our rates at this time of year. Talking with the Finance Committee at the golf course, again, we recommend to keep the rates the same. The golf business is very competitive, and they're, you know, as a business, they're would be nervous for us to actually raise the rates. So their recommendation is to keep them the same. We did adjust the local discount to 10%. That's our recommendation. And we added the language that we applied this spring. So should be in order.
One thing in there, looking at that, for the 10%, it says City of Norway business owners who have already purchased their membership.
Well, that should have been, that one should have been removed.
Okay.
Just a period after business owners.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Budget-wise, how are they doing, Ray?
It's been a struggle. I'm not going to tell you we're way in a black nor way in a red. I think we're kind of teetering back and forth. So I think that you know, it's one we have to keep our finger on the pulse. And the thing about this business is that so much is made on just the conditions of the playing conditions, of course. So if we have bad weather, if we have bad conditions, if the course isn't responding well, or we're not handling it well, it will eventually catch up to us in lower revenues. So we have to be very careful about our expenditure side. You know, we have to be very smart on how we're dealing with the maintenance, and a lot of it is personnel driven. A lot of work out there is handwork, and so you know, you have to really be careful not to cut yourself too lean there as well, because it'll show up. It'll show up in your maintenance. It'll show up in a lot of different areas. So I met with Kurt again today, where, you know, I'm trying to keep a close dialogue with him, you and we have some new members, a new grounds committee chair that we're meeting on Friday out at the golf course. Looking forward to that. So I think, we've got a lot of attention, and we'll keep moving forward.
Well, I was gonna save it for council comments, but I've gotten more static on the poor conditions out there this year than the other 4 previous years that I've been here. And again, I'm not a golfer. I haven't been out there. But I said I've been catching static from quite a few people that say it's really bad. One of them even said it's winter kill in August. Now, think about that.
Yeah, we struggled out there this year. There's no question about it. I can't put my finger on it. I'm like you, I'm not a golfer, but I do take very much to heart what the members, are saying. And
Wasn't the drought.
no, we haven't had a bad summer for that. And that's one of the reasons we're meeting on Friday. If you remember, a couple years ago, we went through the similar type of issue with the greens. Now the greens look great, and we're going through it with the fairways. Last year, we had a wonderful course. Everything just seemed to fall in line, and Roy was pretty happy with the conditions. So, we're just trying to. We need to get our hand on that, finger on that. So.
And you made the comment that we weren't raising rates, but this list, a number of the rates are increased. It's mostly the singles that aren't increased.
Well, what you're seeing is a fee after or a fee before certain dates. So, you look at the fee after January 31st of 14. That's our final membership rate, and there's discounts if you get it before October 31st and before January 1st. Now, there's for whatever reason we recommended that the single, 24 to 29 and 30 to 34 rates remain the same, through those periods. But I think that what you'd see if you made a graduated scale is that it would actually go down rather than up from the change. I think that 495 and 425 are the final rates. So they're really not getting a discount if you want to look at it from that perspective.
Just rewards the people who buy early.
Right, and
Well, for the singles, 24 to 34, there's no rewards to buy early.
right, but they feel like you can't go any lower than that anyway. So they're going to keep it at one rate all the way through, because you don't want to go any lower than that.
They're trying to draw in the younger people.
They're trying to draw in the younger people, right? Because, let's face it, we have an older golfing membership, and so they're trying to get that 20-something and early 30-somethings out there to golf.
Talking about trying to draw people in, did the discount we offered last year help with memberships? Did we get an increase?
Mary, did you see the numbers on that? I'm getting mixed results on that.
I'd
Mixed
have to get with
messages.
Carolyn. I know she was keeping track of it. I haven't seen a final report from her, but we can check with her. She usually keeps pretty close track of that stuff.
Yeah, I've gotten mixed results from that, but we'll have to get the numbers, and I'll get that to you.
Okay, is there any other questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2013-25 for the 2014 Oak Crest Golf Course membership rates.
Second.
Motion made by Mark, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
No.
Okay, that's all of our business this evening. Would anyone from the public like to come up and address the council on any subject? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Jean Bradford, 2465 Travis Farm Road. I have a question regarding the cable TV. I went up $7 a month.
Yes.
What's happening with Channel 7?
I know it's been out for a few days, Tricia. Have we-
Like almost a week?
Well, I know that tomorrow our cable techs are supposed to come in and take another look at it to see if they can get it back up. That's as
how do
far
you
as I know.
handle-
That's as far as I know. They haven't looked at it yet. So when they do tomorrow, we'll know more.
So we just wait and see. If there is a problem with the cable television, is there a number we can call to somebody's attention on the weekend?
Ray, that's,
Yeah, you would dial the city hall and then hit 299.
And that's an answering machine?
That's an answering machine. It's actually at Pages out, the tech,
Okay.
TV tech.
Because frequently on the weekend, it does go down. I don't know if you heard other complaints or not. I also have a question. 721 16th Street, is that an occupied house? I see we paid to cut the grass again. I drive by 16th Street frequently, and I don't know what house that is.
I don't know what house specifically, but that would be a compliance issue that we would have it cut and then bill the resident times a percentage, and then if they don't pay, we put it on their taxes.
Well, I think all the houses were occupied. That's why I kind of wondered about that.
Yeah, but sometimes the occupied houses, they're not cutting their grass and they're ignoring our letters, so. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's occupied or not. I mean, the owner is responsible for making sure it's maintained.
Okay, and then my final question. On the payroll and related expenses, $3,000 lump sum payment, part-time police employees. Do we not have 6 policemen?
We have 3 part-time out of the 6.
Okay. And then the union, per the union contract, how, can you explain that $3,000 expenditure?
Mary, is that the lump sum payment? Yeah. It's prorated based on the hours that they work.
They get a proportional amount based on what percentage they have in hours compared to a full-time officer. They don't get the same dollar amount as a full-time officer. They get it based on how many hours they've actually worked in the last 12 months.
and this was the lump sum that was in the contract
Yeah,
because,
as of July 1st.
Right.
When we did the payouts on, right around the 1st of July, we forgot the part-timers, and it was brought to our attention that they are covered under that contract also.
So this was for a year?
Yeah,
This was for 2 weeks?
For July 1st, no, the employees did not get a percentage pay raise. They all received a lump sum for the year.
on the new contracts that
Biannual.
started
It's
July.
biannual.
On the new contracts that started July 1st, there was a pay freeze, but in lieu of that, the employees received a bonus, a lump sum. This was on here this month because it had been overlooked for the part-time police officers in July that they were supposed to get this. This will be twice a year. All of the employees get it twice a year. And because it was overlooked there, it was brought to our attention, so we took care of it now.
But the part-time employees do get a regular pay,
Yes,
right?
yeah, this is just the bonus, because, and as part of the union contract, by agreeing to take a pay freeze, instead of getting a base increase on their pay rate, they got a bonus this year.
And that's like a certain percentage of their wage?
For the part-time, it's based off of how many
Yeah,
hours.
it's a
they-
percentage and then based on the
Yeah.
number of hours.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments?
Good evening, my name is Mark Maloney. I'm the business manager of IBW Local 219 in Iron Mountain, Michigan. I'd like to thank Ray for reassessing on the wastewater treatment contract ops and the amount of time that the council members took to look into it and basically stay with the status quo. Thank you and have a good
Okay,
evening.
thank you. Is there any other comments from the public? Okay, Lee.
2 things. One question, Ray. Last council meeting, I complained about it because we had to pay for the actuarial that was done on the MERS pension. We had to pay for it. Did we get any comment back on that as to how we are doing?
I don't have any results. I got an email that they started.
Okay, when you get something on that,
Oh,
like you to
absolutely.
let us
Sure
know.
that.
And the only other thing I have, I would like the people to read in the Daily News, the letters to the editor. There's an article in there by Barb Thune. I'd like everybody to please read it. That's all I have.
Okay, Dr. Hayes.
No comment.
Chris?
While back, I think it was a couple months ago, we did a study, or we're gonna do some studying up at the ice rink for the methane. Do we have any results back on that?
Yeah, I just received the report, the official report, and there's no problem.
Okay.
So what was our brown spots?
Well, there is some, obviously some release, but it's way, way, way below. There's not even, almost not even recordable on any kind of from a environmental issue. But it's something that we still need to address. I'm talking to a few people on proper venting, what we can do, capping. I think, we did cap it one time, and it worked for a couple of years. We put a clay cap or something over it, and it had lasted for a couple of years, but that eventually, gets back through it. So there's some other ways that we're gonna have to deal with it.
If the engineers need to record it, they could take a camera, just take a picture.
Record it, yeah. Well, we wanted to make sure that there was no environmental or
Yeah.
impact to the people, kids. I mean, we're sending
There's
our
no
kids out.
safety.
There's no safety issue whatsoever, so now we can feel free to, just try and deal with it on our own. Yeah.
Mark?
I got a couple. I haven't seen the street sweeper in like months. I don't know if you guys are running it or not running it. It's been about 6 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, since I seen it go through town. Joe, I asked about, we're cracking down on blight. We got Jim on board now, doing a good job. Nobody touched the DPW storage shed. We were gonna have summer students scrape and paint it,
No,
spray
we
it,
cleaned all up around it, Mark.
but the paint is falling right
Yeah,
off. That's what I brought up 2 months ago.
Yes, the paint is coming off, but we spent a lot of weeks cleaning up around there and disposing of old transformers and things like that.
Yeah,
So-
but the disposal of the transformers isn't the summer student's job.
No,
So, and I had asked specifically to get that taken care of over there, to get it looking good, because we're cleaning up on blight on everybody else's property. We need to make sure that that's clean.
Yeah, Mark, I talked with Jim today before he left, and
Okay.
he showed me the garages, sheds that that you guys were talking about.
Yep.
And then I went over, I took a look at those our two sheds,
Yep.
garages. The salt shack, that's been a challenge
Yep.
structurally, and we've propped it up, we've got it supported. But one thing is that the major issue with those are the painting, as you're pointing out. We do need to get on those, but we don't send non-compliance to anybody about painting. We've talked
Yeah, but
about it. We could if we wanted to go to that section of the property maintenance, but there hasn't been a big push politically to go into that direction. Doesn't mean that we're going to hit those.
I still
but
say we
that's a
should
little
be
different
leading
than
the
what you-
pack. A couple gallons
Yeah.
of paint, like maybe 15, 20 gallons of paint is cheap. We had the summer students here.
I just wanted
And-
to note, though, that the ones that we were addressing, like this morning, those had structural problems. Those are falling over, there are holes in the roofs.
I
Those are
realize
issues.
that, but
Okay.
I think it's a nasty looking area over there, and I think we should try to keep it clean. And we have the summer students here for a reason. The other thing I got, Joe, is how much are the computerized water meters?
the brass meter is approximately $78 to $90, somewhere right in that, depending on the lots that you buy them in.
Do you guys reuse them?
Yeah, if they're reusable, if they're new enough where you can put the new top on them,
Well,
the Itron top,
yeah, that's what I mean, is the
Yeah.
tops that are put on, the computerized tops that got the automatic reads.
Yes.
You guys reuse them?
what David does, I do not, when they come back into him, I don't know, I'm assuming he reuses them, but I don't know that.
Well, there's been 3 houses tore down in 3 weeks and nobody's requested the meters back. Nobody's came back when they disconnected. They've disconnected on a timely manner, but nobody's pulled any of them off.
Okay, let me check into it.
The other thing is I really got a problem with that third guy on the electric department. I don't like the way that was handled. I talked to a couple of the other council members along with the mayor, and we were only supposed to take 2, and we took on a third guy with benefits. I talked to Mary, $92,000 benefits and wage on a 40-hour work week. And I don't appreciate the way that was slipped through. It should go in front of council. We should know exactly what's going on and make our recommendation. It's not the supervisor's position to decide to hire this other person. I'd like to hear what Jeremy's got to say, because me and him had a pretty extensive conversation today.
Like I mentioned last time, when we had the budget discussions, we had in there, that it was decided that we was gonna try 4, but we'd have 5 if we needed it. We never tried 4. And I have a problem with that. That it was agreed to try 4, and we just went straight to 5. Without ever working through it like we were supposed to. Personally, I was okay with 5 if we needed it, but we needed to try the 4 as was the plan. It was just skipped right to 5. And going to 5 right away was as far as I know, none of council was informed of that till after it was done. And I don't think that was the right way to handle that. That wasn't done properly. Because council's direction was 4.
I'd like to see that guy laid off. Because we made a specific direction, and it was gone against the council's recommendation. And you guys work for the council.
Does anybody else have any thought on this, any comment on that?
92,000.
Well, I have no complaint with the 92,000 because that's what the man is worth. They are electrical linemen. But I was also under the impression that through the company, they were gonna hire 2 guys from them temporarily and see how that worked. And then I was willing to go along with the recommendation of the electrical committee that said, technically, Ann Krause, they said we needed 5.5 men to run this system. So with 3 new hires and the 2 we have, I'm comfortable with the 5. Although hiring the third guy without really telling us they were going to do it right away, that does upset me. But the commission did recommend 5 bodies, which is what we have now, which is what I had agreed with.
I agree with Lee. I mean, I don't think the way it was handled was right, but I do think that we need 5 people on in the electric department as was recommended.
Dr. Hayes, any comment?
No comments.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I got.
The one question I had was on the pavilions at Marion Park. I know we got no bidders on the refinishing them, so what's the plan now? They need to be done, and with the amount of, the kind of work and the kind of, I don't know that we can have the summer help do it if you're getting into chemical stripping to get that stuff off. Because I don't think you can just necessarily scrape it because the way it's on there. Maybe you can, I don't know that.
Well, we did get a name from someone who was interested in doing it. What he said, though, is he didn't give us a price of how much it would cost to do the job as a whole. What he said is he'd do it for $40 an hour. He's kind of a handyman type, but he is in Kingsford. When I talked around about it, we said let's bid it, let's put it in the paper, let's get it bid out there to see if anybody locally would be interested, and nobody inquired about it. So, I think that's probably our next best option at this point, because it does need to get done. We can't have the kids do it. It's just there's so much polyurethane on that lacquer on that, that it's gonna have to be stripped off and, you know, cleaned down. So it's a major job.
I'm assuming the guy's licensed and bonded.
Well, I'd
Better
have to
be.
check that out. He would have to be in order to
Yeah,
work.
but for $40 an hour,
Yeah.
I'd like
I mean,
to
he
see,
has
I'd
he
like
has
to
a
see a
card in
bid
his
on it,
company.
because he could go out there and spend 200 hours out there versus 50 hours.
I don't, you know, I mean, we're looking for options.
I mean, it has to be
bid it
done.
out.
There's no
Yeah.
question about that. If we can wait another year, I don't know. Maybe in the spring, we can get more people interested in it.
Possibly. I don't think it's something that has to be done right now. It has to be done.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah. It's gonna have to be done, but it doesn't have to be done tomorrow.
Right. That's my only comment. Okay,
Well, we are getting criticized pretty heavily for not getting it done. I mean, so that's kind of the emphasis of trying to get it out there.
And that's in the Park and Recs Department, which is the poorest of the bunch.
Yeah. So we were looking for those options.
I mean, since nobody bid on it, can we go out and solicit people? I mean, can you make some phone calls around to various contractors and say, hey, are you willing
That's
to do this?
basically what I would start doing.
I think if we can do that and get a couple different quotes.
I did talk to a couple when it was in the paper and just let them know it was there. Apparently, none of them were interested after they looked at it. So but any of some other ones in town, we definitely should try to talk to, try to get somebody on.
I think I know a couple guys that would be interested in it,
Okay.
contractors.
That would be great, have them contact.
Okay, I'll have them call you.
Okay. I got no other comments. Joe,
No, I don't have anything.
Mary,
No, nothing.
Tricia, Jay. Nothing to add, thank you. Ray.
Just a couple things. We got music in the park. There's a couple more sessions, you know, to tomorrow night. And August 27th right now is the last. We do have September 3rd, but like Lee mentioned earlier, we don't have anybody down for that. So come on out for that. And then have a safe Labor Day. That's coming up.
And our next council meeting is?
September 9th.
The
It's
9th?
second Monday.
Second
Yeah, because
Monday,
of Labor Day, we moved it to the second and the fourth
I
Monday.
know we had moved it, but I didn't remember if it was Tuesday or the following Monday.
So, yeah, in September, the council meetings will be the 9th and the 23rd. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, seconded by Mark, roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
To me, it didn't make any sense that there's no incentive